And we are live. Sanbonani. Dumelang. Molweni. It's not just for the bank, it's there for everyone. Good evening, everyone. How are you feeling? We feeling good? When I say okay, okay, say all right, okay, okay? All right. Okay, okay? All right. We're trying to do some international things here, so I'm trying to make sure that there is no feedback. Are we good? Can I get a thumbs up from my sound people? Good. All right. Hello, everyone. Except for Ganjan, as I'd usually say, my name is Silokela Molamudi, but you can call me Slu because that is cool, and I'm cool like that. I have the honor of being your master of celebration on tonight's Flow Forward lecture. Let's give it up for that. And then, of course, it's not just for you guys, but we have got an online community that is joining us. Do remember to subscribe, share, and hit that bell, the notification bell, so that you can get notified every time we drop content. I'm on my way of becoming a YouTuber, Minister. Did you see that? Did you hear that? You got it? Awesome. So glad to have everyone here. Thank you so much for choosing to spend your Tuesday evening with us. We are truly honored to have you. Now, Qrate and the Menstrual Project, two nonprofit organizations dedicated to advancing menstrual health awareness and advocacy, and they are proud to have put together this annual lecture event. Let's give it up for them. Now, the Flow Forward annual lecture serves as a platform for bold discussions, innovative ideas, and principled partnerships to drive positive change in global menstrual health. This year's event, 10 years, Where Are We Now?, will critically examine the progress made in menstrual health advocacy over the past decade and chart the course for future initiatives. The challenges for menstrual health have been significant in South Africa and globally, with barriers such as limited access to affordable menstrual products, inadequate sanitation facilities, and cultural stigma surrounding menstruation. According to the South African Journal of Child Health, in South Africa alone, an estimated of 7 million girls cannot afford to buy period products. And according to the University of Stellenbosch, about 30% of girls miss out on school due to menstruation-related issues. While the provision of sanitary products is crucial, it is only one component of comprehensive menstrual health management response. Ongoing attention to the link between product access and absenteeism risks overlooking complex systemic and structural factors that can negatively impact the sexual and reproductive health of school learners and people who menstruate. That was some big English there. We would like to thank our partners for making this event possible. Ibis Reproductive Health, who are renowned for their bold and rigorous research efforts aimed at advancing sexual and reproductive autonomy, choices, and health worldwide, with a vision of a world where high quality sexual and reproductive health services are accessible to all. Ibis Reproductive Health brings invaluable expertise and insights to the Flow Forward annual lecture. Additionally, the Salome range is committed to providing innovative healthcare solutions to women worldwide. Focusing on natural ingredients and effective healthcare solutions, the Salome range aims to empower women to live every step of their journey through womanhood free of pain and discomfort. Finally, Viva Con Agua South Africa has provided an exhibition that showcases the talent of 5 emerging South African artists who were selected from a nationwide call to be part of an incubation program hosted by Viva Con Agua South Africa and mentored by Spear Art Trust in Cape Town. The art forms part of Jesus' global hashtag Let's Talk Period campaign, which celebrates 10 years of menstrual hygiene management activism. From here, artworks, which is each artist's interpretation of a period-friendly world, will travel for exhibition at the Millenter Gallery in Hamburg and in Bonn, Germany. Let's give a round of applause to all of our partners and our artists. Now that the big English is out of the way, you can tell I didn't run away when they said unprepared reading or unprepared speech. Okay. I've got a couple of house rules. So bathrooms, when you walk out the store, you simply turn right. You turn all the way right. Think of it as being in a maze, except you know where you're going. So you just walk all the way right, and of course, the ladies on the left and the gents on the other. And then, of course, you are allowed to, in fact, we encourage you to go onto social media, share videos, share pictures. I didn't look this good for nothing. So you better post those pictures. And use the hashtag Flow Forward 2024. I'll repeat that. Hashtag Flow Forward 2024. Even you that is watching on our live stream can use that hashtag in the comment section as and when you are leaving your comments as well as your questions. One more thing. We are live streaming, as you can see on our screens. So the live stream link on Qrate YouTube channel can be shared with your family and friends. So simply follow, go on to YouTube now. I'm going to look good like this for the rest of my life, so don't worry. We're good. But you can go on to for Qrate. It's spelled Qrate, and then share that live stream with your loved ones. Are we ready to start the lecture? I was excited when I learned that Qrate and the Menstrual Project are going to be hosting this, because where have you ever heard of a menstrual lecture? Hey, the historic week when we are voting, when we are changing administration, and these amazing organizations say, you know what, we will be part of history. We are about to do something amazing. Here is hashtag Flow Forward 2024. With that said, let us get straight into it. You heard them when they walked in, you felt them when they walked in, but I want you to experience them one more time. Everyone, give it up for Amajiji. Ladies, would like for you to join us down here and, of course, give us another amazing performance. Now, I know World Africa Day, rather, Africa Day was this past Saturday. So I want to test how African we are, you know? I want to test, can we ululate? Tell me you are African without telling me you are African. Let's look up for them as they make their way up front. La, la. Let's give it up one more time for Amaji. And for those that might not know what that means, it simply means virgins. Isn't it amazing to have young girls, the same young girls that we advocate for, that we work with, join us at the very first Flow Forward annual lecture. I think that deserves a round of applause. Hey, nami ngibabulile kathi kuthi angi. Hey, kuthi angi. Yeah, but the doesn't allow. Let's start with our very first panel discussion. As you can see, the setup is giving, oh, prayers. Come on, it's award-winning stuff. And we are going to start with keynote addresses before we get into panel discussions, yeah? So coming up is Shari. Some of you might know her, some of you might not. Either way, I'll tell you who she is. She is the co-founder of the Menstrual Project. She's an artist. She is a poet. The Menstrual Project is a community-based nonprofit organization that works towards opening dialogue about menstruation and other ovarian health-related issues. And right after that, we will have soon-to-be doctor, known as the Minister of Menstruation. She is in the cabinet. They just don't put her picture up there. I don't know why. She's an academic, she's an author, a public speaker, and a social entrepreneur. Her advocacy and leadership have established her as a respected figure in both academic and entrepreneurial circles. And that's none other than Candace Chira. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Candace and Shari. So because Candace is coming up, we need a ministerial round of applause. So we give her an applause until she speaks. Go ahead, go ahead, go ahead. Go ahead.
Is this thing on? Okay. Shari, I'll give you this mic because I see that we are having a little bit takeover, but it's fine. You can join me here, Shari. I can't believe we're here. I'll cry later. But I think I do have an official speech. But let me first start off with ministerial greetings, everyone. All protocols are observed. I'm not going to get into my period story because it's awkward and I feel like, it was an awkward time, but it inspired me, influenced me to be the Minister of Menstruation. And I think at that time when I was 10, if someone came to me as a genie to say, in 18 years' time, you're going to be the Minister of Menstruation, I definitely would have fainted. But I am really grateful for the fact that this is life-fulfilling work. I'm really grateful for the fact that I don't want to get emotional, but let me start with the speech. Today, on the 10th anniversary of Menstrual Hygiene Day, we celebrate a decade of progress, but we also acknowledge the journey that lies ahead. For far too long, menstruation has been relegated to hushed whispers and hidden aisles. Myths and taboos have created a shroud of secrecy, a breeding ground for misinformation and isolation. But the tide is turning. We, the generation who refuses to be silenced, are here to rewrite the narrative. We are the generation that demands change. We demand that women, girls, people who menstruate can live with dignity and confidence during their periods, knowing their bodies are amazing and not something to be ashamed of. Access safe and affordable menstrual health products, not a luxury, but a basic human right. Imagine missing school, work, or social events because you cannot afford pads or tampons or any other menstrual product. This is the reality for many in South Africa, and it is unacceptable. To manage our periods in a safe, hygienic environment with access to clean water and proper sanitation facilities, this isn't just about comfort, it's about health and well-being, period. This is not a fight for some, it's a fight for all. Because when girls miss school due to period poverty, it's not just the education that suffers, it's the future of our nation. So we can start conversations. We can talk openly and honestly about periods with our daughters, sisters, mothers, friends, and colleagues. But most importantly, tonight, I want each and every one of us to normalize the conversation and break the cycle of silence. I'm going to hand over to Shari to do her beautiful thing of speaking, because you are made for that. But I just wanted to end off with saying, this is incredible. Thank you for everyone for attending. And period. Sorry?
Mental period.
Hi. Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Like our lovely minister introduced me as, I'm Shabi Maluleke, and I am the co-founder of the Menstrual Project, recently appointed the Deputy Minister of Menstruation. So I also have a speech. Can everyone please start off with saying the word vagina?
Vagina.
Vagina. Vagina.
Vagina.
Period. We love to see it. Okay. Dumelang Sanibonani, and welcome to the first Flow Forward annual lecture. I just wanted to start off by saying, like Candace said, thank you for everyone for coming for this momentous day. For Menstrual Hygiene Day, we thought it was very, very important to highlight an important issue that affects all of us, both menstruators and non-menstruators. And I wanted to share quite a personal speech, so, we know how I got it. Okay. So I wanted to start off by saying I hate my period. I can't stand the little thing. She's a menace. I can't stand her every month. The mood swings, the anxiety, the depression, the acne, the cramps, the insomnia, the lightheadedness, the nausea, and the heat flushes in 1 week. I can't stand my period. And that's not something you usually expect to hear from a menstruation activist, but my period combined with menstrual symptoms can cause up to 2 weeks of hell for me. I don't know how I survived it every week. But the lady in red is not just my biggest obstacle, but also my greatest educator. I was 14 when I started my period, and I remember the exact day it happened. I was playing sports while I was changing for sports, and literally when I took down my pants in the bathroom, I saw, lo and behold, my period started, and I was ecstatic. I was excited. I was like, life is beginning. I was praying to God for months to get my period. Yo. And I remember I ran to my friend and I said to her, I started my period, and these two 14-year-olds were screaming in the quad, like, yeah, we women now. And then I went home and I told my mom I was pregnant. That's not how you start a sexual health talk. It wasn't the best joke to make, but move past these and the birds. And I wanted to say we know the statistics, which is why we are all here. Right? I continuously say in whatever spaces I am in, period poverty is a form of gender-based violence. I started the Menstrual Project when I was 19 and I had no idea where it would lead me. The Menstrual Project started from a place of just donating sanitary products to small communities around me, but it became something that was a symbol of love and education and empowerment. When we taught a workshop with the Kids Goals for young girls from 2 years ago, they asked one of the young girls what the Menstrual Project taught them, and she answered with, to love yourself. That's what menstruation activism is. It's morphed into loving yourself. One of the most devastating realizations that have come across to me in the work the Menstrual Project does is how much older women and younger femmes and menstruators hate their bodies. The violence of patriarchy, disgusted at the thought of saying or seeing a vagina, let alone their own. It is violence that has desensitized us, detached us, and made us hate a natural bodily function and ultimately ourselves. Menstruation education and empowerment is not just about teaching menstruators to tolerate or love your period. It's about teaching menstruators that your period as a part of you was made for you, and there's no shame in having one. Becoming a menstruation activist has shown me how much value actually lies in knowing how my body works. Menstruation affects our energy levels, our sleep, our mental health, what we eat, what we wear, and who we want to see on what day of the week. Our entire lives should revolve around our menstrual cycles. Yet we live in a world that makes menstruation invisible, something to tolerate alone in a dark corner somewhere. And that is violent. Imagine being rendered invisible because you bleed once a month or because you have a vagina. How cruel is the world? You deserve to understand your period, not because you love your period, but because you love yourself. Creating spaces like these and showing up is a part of the menstruation revolution, which is why it's so important for us to show up for these things, because menstruation is you. And I want you guys to know that you need to love yourselves, You can't hate your body. You can't hate having a vagina. You hate menstruation. You just hate being a person.
Period.
Period. And so, at the end of the speech, I just wanted to say, love yourself.
Period.
Period.
All right, a ministerial applause for the two ladies. So, Shari stays. Shari gets to stay. And we will finally start with our first panel discussion. You know, guys, just like as a side topic, like people work hard. People work really hard. People have big titles. And the people that we have on the panels tonight, yes, two panels, are very inspirational. Like if they're not a doctor, they're a researcher. You want to be something, you know? Be a voter, something, anything, be something, okay? So to start things off, the first panel is going to be looking at advocacy and menstrual health. 10 years later, where are we? So joining us on the panel is the Girl Effect Program Manager, Emmanuel Tala Giba. Emmanuel, get up, run, girl. Absolutely. She looks like a manager, doesn't she? Standing on business. And we also have a Global Citizen Senior Manager, Content and Editorial. Bambizum Party. That's what her team calls her. Kanye Mlaba. Did you assign them to do that? Okay. Who should I pay? Anybody? All right. So we've got multi-award winning women's health activist and researcher, the girl who's got hair like mine, but better, Lucy Pearl Coffee. Did I lie? Viva Conagua, South Africa business developer Pumelele Mutali. Yes, Pumelele. Yes, yes, yes. And finally, any Betsy's in the house? Rest. 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 Rest is like a problem. You know, you could be elders father shop trying to get bread. I'm a Betsy. So what? So what? But jokes aside, University of Witwatersrand women's health activist and researcher Fatima Kathrada. And of course, to facilitate this conversation is our very own Shari. Let's give it up one more time.
Okay. One more round of applause for our exceptional panelists, please, please, please. Okay, so the key focus on this panel discussion is to reflect on the advancements and achievements in menstrual health advocacy over the past decade. So we want to discuss things like milestones, policy changes, and shifts in societal attitudes towards menstruation. And once again, we want to thank all of you for making the time to be here. And so a question to all of you is, 10 years later, do you think we are closer to achieving menstrual dignity?
Okay, so I guess I have the mic. So I'll begin. Okay, so yes, I think 10 years down the line, we have come a long way. And I think we should get ourselves on the foot for that. If we think about where we come from the definition of menstrual health, to be more inclusive now, complete physical, social well-being. We've seen the uptake of
menstrual hygiene products, musical packs, which is limited update, innovation. Innovation in terms of disposable and underwear. We start to move towards research with women's health, starting research towards the use of, for example, menstrual diagnosis, starting to move forward towards and innovative ways of creating new. So yes, on my way here from a driving and I actually saw an article by Ibis on menstrual hygiene media, and he said something very interesting. That while we're taking ourselves what we have, we also need to look at what are we using, right? What have we missed? And I think a big thing, we have put so much effort into the program. But we're seeing that a lot of people have such great work providing incentive products, notification, but we've also seen a large proportion of NGOs, they started aid from which we count. The reason, again, we weren't on the opportunity. And I think why on the infection of health that the progress we have made, I do think it what are we using, how can we using also our next, I definitely agree that happening a lot of progress. I was thinking about this question. Basically, I was thinking about the term, menstrual dignity, what does it entail? And certain tangible aspects of menstrual dignity that we need access to sanitary products, access to facilities to change their sanitary products in a hygienic way. But then there are also those intangible, so social attitudes, misconceptions around menstruation, ways of change. And when it comes to the tangibles, I think we have made a lot of progress now what we actually say, all the innovations that we've seen. And then even when it comes to the tangibles, I think we have progress there as well. I think a lot of us are a lot more comfortable to talk about menstruation and things. We are a lot more comfortable to dispel certain things and call out the we're told that we cannot be created quantum so even when it comes to the tangible, we have progress. However, I don't know. And when we think about progress relative to use, when looking at young menstruated periods, that gives us an indication of progress. But then when people menstruate in rural areas, then we get to see that, okay, there's a lot of work that still needs to be done, both on the tangible and intangibles. So overall, I think there's a lot of progress that's been made. But I also think it's important that as we advocate, as we engage society organizations in our urban and peri-urban areas, we also need to make sure that we're moving the tide when it comes to more rural areas where there's still a big gap when it comes to the tangible aspects of queer dignity and the intangible aspects as well.
Hello. Okay. I first and foremost for both of you, but I'm gonna come at it from more of a global perspective, in the sense that there has definitely been progress, and the existence of Menstrual Health Day from like the beginning of it is really important for that progress, because to me that progress is access to information. Access to information is a human right, first and foremost. However, access to information about what's happening to your body should just be something that it should be like basics. And I think that's something that in the last 10 years has been done by nonprofit organizations like Qrate, like the Menstrual Project, and so many others, UN Women, so many different spaces have created the place to have this access to information. However, not enough has been done, and to consider what's been going on in the last 5 years, poverty has been on the rise. Not even period poverty. Poverty has been on the rise for the first time in a generation, and we need to consider that when we're considering period poverty, because poverty means that girls get left behind. When there's no money, girls get thought of last. Also, when you think about conflict zones, conflict is on the rise, and wars are on the rise. Currently, there's about 110 conflicts across the world right now. We're very lucky that for us, that's not something that we see every day, but right now, if you consider those women and girls and people who menstruate in those conflict zones, they do not have access to have that dignity or to have those products. And so for them, a lot of the time, it's choosing between, do I eat or do I bleed? And it's very, so in that sense, there's no progress, because right now we're seeing, in a not post-COVID, guys, COVID still exists, but in a post-peak COVID world, we are experiencing a higher level of poverty, and we are experiencing really high cost of living crisis around the world, and that means that girls get left behind, and that means that menstrual health gets thought of last. And it does, while there's progress, it feels a little bit as if we're regressing, because we're currently thinking about what it means to solve the problems that we see, and not solve the problems that are hidden behind a taboo. So yeah, I think that's my answer.
Okay, I actually love, oh my goodness, everyone's answer. So I would say we have progress in the global movement. And in a lot of time, we have Africa or global South influenced by the global or by the global North agenda, right? And in the global scale, it looks like there is movement. And when you zoom into the local level, as you're talking about the rural areas, when you check into people's realities of menstruation, we are far from that. There is this small percentage that we make noise about. It's more like in SA, we are a food secure country on a global level. But go into people's household, people are facing high level of food insecurity, the same as menstruation. So as much as we see the movement, we see the vibe, we see activists, we see NGOs, and remember, who's funding the agenda? They push the narrative. They tell you, we're focusing on this and this, we don't fund this. Now we see a lot of NGOs, they are pulling out of menstruation. They are focusing on particular sexual and reproductive services, which are important. But when it comes to menstruation, they feel like it's the last thing. Like you're bleeding, you'll be fine. So it's not really a priority. When you look into the UN, the Sustainable Development Goals, some of these things are a buzzword. If you try to implement those things in the South African context, considering that we have resource scarcity in some of the things. Yes, we talk about they must have access to bathrooms, flushables, and all of those things, but we know some of these things are too far-fetched. But as a government, in our policies, we need to be very realistic. So we cannot just stand up and clap hands. Yes, it's there, people, we see everything. Well done to all the activists, but a lot still needs to be done. All activists, let's bring it home, contextualize it, make it a South African movement. You can look at Scotland and say they've done this and this, but have you considered how they are and where we are in South Africa? Because all our policies now, we are trying to copy in other countries. And when it comes to resources, we are not even closer where they are. So let's be real when we implement what we are implementing.
So I'm going to jump on the bandwagon and say that my sentiments have pretty much been captured by the rest of the panel. So I'll just touch on a few of the points that have already been brought up. So my role at Ibis and Agua is largely funded, and we're an NGO. So a lot of the conversation around, how donors can be fickle and funding, really just runs dry, without any sort of warning sometimes. That's daily struggle of mine. And so the way that we're thinking Agua is to think about how we can turn social causes and the work that we do in these spaces into social enterprise. So how can the work that we do support itself? We've got a few projects that we're sort of incubating around a model that can make providing people support to access basic human rights can be sustainable. It has its own challenges, but we will get into that. I just say that to say perhaps we need to think broader and more sustainably than donors. Donors are entitled to choose what they want to spend their money on, unfortunately, which makes our job important. And also, okay, so there was another point about how women are vulnerable in conflict areas. And that, just to understand that point, how serious and real that is, I'm reminded about a recent case that involved UNICEF in Sierra Leone. And there was a massive sex scandal that was uncovered. And there was an investigation, and it was huge. But essentially, the aid workers, the employees that were supposed to be giving aid, were essentially instituted for sexual activities. And that was just the way they were at the camp. So girls, women, if you wanted food, you just had to do a little something. So we need to think about those things very realistically. I think especially in the context of Viva Con Agua. So what we do is actually access water and sanitation. And there actually is a correlation between access to water and proper sanitation facilities and the ability to manage your menstrual cycle or your menstrual hygiene, and also absenteeism. So there are links there. But I bring that up because we do a lot of our work in the Northeast, and I love that. And you would be surprised the kinds of narratives that are prevalent in rural South Africa. So just to give you an example, first of all, the toilet thing, I won't even touch on that. There's some small there aren't any toilets. And we speak to our donors and we tell them this, and they can't believe that there's schools in 2024 that don't have toilets, but it's a real thing. But just to give you an example about some of the narratives that are perpetuated, girls have to first wash disposable pads and then bury them because of the harmful narratives that are perpetuated around menstrual blood, around witchcraft to do with menstrual blood. And so there's so much fear, around this topic. And, even the conversation around making sure that we don't leave certain sections or sectors of our society behind speaks to that. We're in urban areas, we're speaking, about inclusivity, we're speaking about intersectionality. That's not even a conversation you can have. Ebulungu. You can't have that conversation. And so, do you shock people into shifting their views? How do you deal with that? I think that's very nuanced. But my contribution was that first thinking around social enterprises would perhaps be a way to sustain our efforts. I think that we need to do more with lobbying. Yes, I agree that we need to contextualize our policies and make sure that they work for our context and circumstance. But we also need to do a lot more in terms of holding our governments to account on these issues. I think there are issues that sometimes, unfortunately, we on a day-to-day basis, we're not blowing up Twitter over menstrual hygiene or menstrual health issues. It's other things. It's jolo. It's other things that we care about and that are more that gain more traction. So yeah, I'm gonna stop there because I've been chatting a bit.
Can you hear me? Hello? Can you guys hear me? I'll just use the power. Okay. So thank you all for those very in-depth answers. It gives a reality of where we are in terms of development. Going back to Conagua, so a very important reason for voting tomorrow is you guys know Joburg is a quarter to a water crisis, right? So I think we have about 6 months left until Johannesburg goes full-on water crisis mode. And so this brings up a very difficult conversation that we need to have, because I learned the other day actually 40% of the water that is lost in Joburg is lost through leakages and infrastructure failure. And that affects menstrual health, right? So going back to Viva Conagua, access to water, how great of an impact, because we touched on it a bit, but just a bit further, how great of an impact does a water crisis have on menstrual health?
Sure. Quite a lot. Just hygiene in general, wanting to feel comfortable when you're on your period, and if you've got a little accident happen, you want to be able to attend to it at school and not have to go home or wait till the end of the day and have to suffer the rest of the school day with your jersey tied around your waist. Those who don't know. So that first of all. Second of all, having safe spaces, sanitation facilities in which to change their menstrual products. Access to water affects things like being able to clean your menstrual products, your cups, your being able to soak and wash your reusable pads. We actually tried to introduce reusable pads to the Bulungula area where we were working, and there was pushback around that, because already we're working there because they have a lack of access to water, and now we're in this intervention that requires them to have, water. So, so that's the way that water can affect your menstrual health and menstrual hygiene. Remember also that, I don't know who said it now, I think it's actually you, about how our whole lives are around our menstrual cycle. And I've been trying to do that a lot more, trying to understand even the types of exercises that you should be doing on different phases of your menstrual cycle, your level of productivity, things like that, things, understanding all of that. I say that to say hydration is also incredibly important. In terms of the girls that we work with in those rural schools, having to fetch, some of these students are fetched to school by their parents to fetch water. Like their school is interrupted because they've got chores they need to fetch. So it's a completely different reality. But those are the different ways in which lack of access to water or water at all influences and affects menstrual hygiene management.
Thank you for that. Because I really be thirsty on my period. And I don't think you just don't whatever, but now that the water, thank you for that. Because I'm going to be thinking about that. Going to Kanye and Global Citizen, why is it important that menstrual health isn't solely a woman and girl's responsibility to address? And what impact do different mediums, art, music, social movements play in getting everyone on board?
Okay, that's a
heavy question.
Okay, so I think to answer the first part of the question, there's so many parts to answer actually. It's an intersectional issue. So the reason why it's not just about women and girls is because, one, it's a human rights issue. And if we care about human rights, that means that we want to make sure that each person who menstruates has access to menstrual health facilities and menstrual health products, dignity and human rights. It's also very intersectional. So you mentioned the United Nations global goals, and that's quite a broad scale, but it is like, if you narrow it down, it's quite an intersectional issue that menstrual health will impact, the first global goal for ending extreme poverty, the second global goal for access to food, and zero hunger, the third global goal for health, the fourth global goal for education, the fifth global goal for gender equality, the sixth global goal for water and sanitation. It's all intersectional. It's not just one issue. It's not just someone thinks and that's the end of it. So all of these things it's a domino effect. And so I think that it's really important to not look at menstrual health as just something that affects women once a month and something that you shouldn't be talking about. It affects every single part of the existence period, because the way that the world is built at the moment, it's not built for women. It's not built for people who menstruate. Nobody should be profiting off of period poverty. Not one person should be profiting from the fact that they're selling someone something that they need, something that should be accessible. And so that's why it's not just a woman's issue. It's not just a girl's issue. It is an issue. It is a poverty issue. It is a human rights issue. And it is an issue if you care about the existence of human beings, period. It is our issue. It's your issue whether or not you menstruate. To add on to that, just to finish this part of the point, it is proven that if you empower girls, if you empower women, you can end poverty, because girls and women are community thinkers rather than men. Men have had the access to, lead roles and governments and stuff like that, but they don't have community thinking. And we've, borne the burden of being community thinkers as women. And so if we have girls and women having to miss school because of their periods and having to do this work because of their periods, that means you cannot empower someone to become a world leader one day. So that's the first answer. The different creative mediums. I think this is such a fun question because I love creativity. And also shout out to the Qrate team's social media. That creativity is so much fun. I love it so much. But I think the reason why this is important is because anyone who works in content and anyone who speaks to anyone and anyone who just walks out their house, we're all trying to move around the attention economy. Right now, you guys are using part of your attention credit to pay attention to us. And that's really important because you don't know where you're going to find people's attention. One of the wonderful ladies at Amaze said that you got to find people where they are. And I think that's really important. So that's why it's important to have these different creative mediums, because one, creativity drives the world. We wouldn't be able to do anything without creativity. We wouldn't be wearing clothes without creativity. But I think it's really important because it also helps to get the message out there of accessibility, of what people need, and of the fact that this is not just a gender issue. It is an urgent issue that needs to be solved immediately. Thank you.
Lovely. Lovely, lovely, lovely. Sorry, I'm just reflecting. Very, very nuanced and important answers. So I think both of you. So moving to Lucy and Fatima. We have two questions for you. How are menstrual taboos and stigma having a direct impact on policy reform? And do you think the government is doing enough to bring all stakeholders, including men, to eradicate period poverty?
Okay, so let's start with question one. In terms of stigmas, I think really, they are socially constructed. But when we talk about policy, we obviously cannot say that we can legislate or enact social change through legislation or policy. That's not what we're saying, but policies do influence menstrual health in a manner in which they, number one, influence all stakeholders involved, and number two, I think they can either reinforce or they can mitigate menstrual stigmas. And so, when we think about this, there really is a tension between, when we look at what the government has done, the educational initiatives, but when we look at what this education has revolved around, many of them revolve around menstrual health and hygiene and management, rather than comprehensiveness of menstrual health. And I think what that results in is we have loudly created awareness, but what we haven't done is we've shied away from actually encouraging people, encouraging the symptoms or the actual symptoms, or promoting what menstrual health actually is, what menstruation actually is. And I think what we've done doing that, we've actually perpetuated the very same stigma that we've been trying to address, you know, and these stigmas are I call it these, they are invisible, but very powerful. They're deeply rooted, and what they do is they actually start to define what is acceptable and what is not acceptable. So, for example, a hairpin is acceptable, but a tampon is not. You know, education about nutrition is acceptable, but menstrual literacy is not. Diabetes is acceptable, but endometriosis is not. You know, so I think really when we look at government policies, we've acknowledged talent with stigma, but we haven't really sat down and provided suggestions of how do we overcome, you know, actionable suggestions of how we get around. Moving on to the second question, you know, in terms of including all stakeholders, including men, I think it is still a critical gap. We have started to include men in these conversations, but I think a lot more needs to be done. And when I speak about a lot more, men need to be involved on all levels. We speak about boys in schools, we talk about males as spouses, as boyfriends, and take it up to the level of employees. You know, because at every level you are dealing with females in a menstruator. And in terms of school-going boys, I think we could really start to embed this education within the curriculum, but not just the biological aspect. I think we really need to include all aspects, comprehensive menstrual health, from gender equity to empathy, to support, so that we can start to foster the supportive environment where men are actually our allies overcoming inequality. You know, language is very powerful, and the language we use in terms of education is also important. And apart from just including men, I think we need to start including, for example, community leaders and traditional leaders. That's an untapped resource, because they really can help to change the narratives and stigmas around menstrual health. You know, we've spoken about the use of technology, for example, extending our reach. How do we do that? Really through technology, you know, teaming up with tech companies and extending our reach so that we can get awareness and information to as many menstruators as we can. In terms of advocacy, I know there is a lot of work in terms of advocacy. The government has teamed up with a lot of NGOs, grassroots organizations, but I think it needs to be not just inclusive, but also sustainable and long-term. You know, we need to see more actionable plans. And like I said, I think we really need to take it to all levels, and our policies included right up until including the workforce.
This is a good one. Let me start here. I sit in some couple of committees with the Department of Education, DSD, and I've noticed we have researchers in the country who approach government with policy briefs that addresses the issue you're talking about right here, right now, right? And different departments, they are open to such. And they would say, okay, let's start in Mpumalanga and implement this and see if it works. Then we can roll it out nationally. They're quite open to that. If there are researchers here and you want to start the briefs and propose and all of that, please do that. The problem at times, it's not even just policy. We can have that piece of paper. We go to the school and we are told that you won't come here and teach our kids how to have sex. We have gatekeepers where we need to implement policy. As much as we try so hard, we have community leaders who would say, this is going against our culture. We have religious leaders. I'm a pastor myself. They would tell you, you cannot do this with our kids. And we're like, as much as we acknowledge your religion, your culture, your beliefs. We respect everyone, right? That's what we do. So when we go to these spaces, we need to be aware who is gatekeeping what. Because we have the sanitary dignity plan. It's not perfect, but it covers quite a lot. And when you integrate with health and like all the other social aspects and all of that, we have a powerful framework. And the department is open to integrate things. The problem is, how can we implement that? Which school is open to implementing that? So as much as we have NGOs and activists and our voices at times, they cannot work if people on the local level are not accepting what we're doing. So traditional leaders, let's bring everyone on board. This is not a policy issue. It is not researchers' issue. It is not NGO activists, whatever. It is everyone's issue. As you're talking about man and all, as long as you're a human being, you are alive. That's your issue too. Because what's happening right now, it will affect the upcoming generation. I know they will say, I'm not bleeding. It has nothing to do with me. We are raising boys. You know, I have conversation with young boys and they will tell you, when I see a tattoo bleeding, I'm like, okay, so you're having sex already. And now we're having girls, they start their period at 9. And during our time, we're not even over 30. We didn't have our period that time. You know, there are people, but it's quite few. Change of diets, a lot of things have changed. Even the flow, it has changed because of what people are eating. Even their bodies, how their bodies are developing now is totally different. So we need to move with times and see where we are and reflect as a state. Can we be honest and say we are failing in 1, 2, 3, and 4, and how best we can build this revolution? You know, if South African activists and everyone can come together and have a reflection session. We have a lot of silo approaches, and people are doing the same thing in Soweto. You ask yourself, okay, are you all guys, you all of you doing this, you repeat the same thing. Can't we split our services? Can we work together in unity in order to fight this? I call it a demon, you know, poverty. Guys, I hate poverty with passion. Can we attack this demon in unity? There's no man, there's no woman, there's no what, there's no what. We are all human beings and we are fighting for human rights. This is a basic human right. And it's humiliating. It's taking away your dignity. Ubuntu bakho, istima, your dignity. Especially if you go to school. You know this thing of you talking about you cover with the jersey and all of that. The smell. Guys, period blood doesn't smell like roses. We know that, especially if you've been sitting there for more than 5 hours because you don't stand up until the school is out. So this is everyone's problem. And let's not rely on government. No, let's not rely on government. Do your part.
Can you hear me? Oh, okay. Okay, so we just have one more question with Emma. And what role does technology play in providing access to information and empowerment for young girls in the African continent? We know South Africa is both technology. Yeah. So what's your comment?
Awesome. I actually really love this question because when talking about period dignity, the access to information is something that's not being touched on. And that is the divider, right? When it comes to bridging the gap, those who are good and those who are not. And when people talk about technology, they often refer to it as the great equalizer, because you can have someone in a particular environment that has the same access to the same information as somebody in another environment. So it's important that we don't doubt the role that technology play in bridging the gap between the poor and those who are not. So access to information, there's different ways that can be useful. There's standard Google search engines to find information, which is a good form of technology to use, but a lot of organizations can take it a step further, using things like AI to bridge the gap and increase the access to information around menstruation periods. So there is a chatbot
that girl effect has been on the market, where who menstruate can ask each other anything really when it comes to menstruation, reproductive health. Things like, this happened, my period is coming, what does this mean? Or it's been delayed by this long, does this mean X, Y, and Z? And in the time that it's been on the market, there's been 2 million questions asked and answered. And the answers are written up by experts. And so that shows you that technology really allows you to reach people at scale. And that then helps bridge the gap between those that are in urban and peri-urban areas with access to, information readily available, and also those who are in environments where the access to information isn't that easy. You're able to then at scale using tech. So this search engine element, there's the AI, which is something sophisticated, but I think media also is a technology that is very, very impactful. And so get things like edutainment, soul buddies from back in the day. I think Scheme Sam is a more contemporary example where it's media, it's a form of technology, but very, very impactful in dealing with the myths and the stigmas around periods, around menstruation, but also very key creating behavior change, right, in society. So when we watch together, typically it's at the time slot when the family is eating dinner and they're watching together. So it's myself and perhaps a brother or an uncle, whoever's in the environment, and everyone is watching this mindset shifted because of technology. So tech plays a really, really big role. And in South Africa, the last I checked, there's an internet penetration of 80%, which, if I'm not mistaken, is the highest on the continent. So civil society organizations, social actors, whether you're a social enterprise, whether you're for-profit or non-for-profit, would be remiss to not use technology as a form of advocacy and as a means to reach, quote unquote, the unreachable. And I also think it's important that we be quite creative when it comes to technology and our use of tech. Which I give an example. You know how sometimes you have to click *141# and then it takes you to some sort of a menu? That's a way that people who have phones that are not smartphones can still access this type of information. And so these are ways that I think it's important for us to start exploring. How can we use tech to ensure that we bridge the gap when it comes to access to information and knowledge? And I also want to urge us not to downplay the role of access to information in combating period poverty.
Incredible. All of you are incredible panelists, and we learned so much from all of you. We don't have time for questions. If you have questions, please come after the second panel discussion. You can ask the panelists. I was told to say that Global Citizen Fellows will also be giving away the co-authors books tonight. So go to Global Citizen if you want to check that out. But again, round of applause for our incredible panelists. Thank you, ladies. And it's very refreshing to hear the ideas that are being made in the menstrual movement space. We're making the progress, guys. It's happening. We are here. We are in the moment. And as much as we need to thank our panelists, we need to thank all of you for also showing up to this conversation. So round of applause to yourself as well. And now I'll be handing it over.
Thank you for giving my show back. A long break. Let's give it up one more time for our panelists. I read a comment that said, let the panelists cook. And they did. Ladies and gentlemen, it's 2 minutes after 8. Oh, by the way, I do radio. Sorry. It's 2 minutes after 8. So at this point, we are going to step out to get something to nibble on. Ranibula Mona. Hey, in this economy, we are nibbling. But we are going to step outside to get something to nibble on, and then I will invite you back for the second part of our lecture. Don't forget the hashtag. It's hashtag FlowForward2024. 8 minutes. You've got 8 minutes, I've been told. It's not me. It's my bosses. 8 minutes. I'm going to come and mic up. Okay. No, you can switch them. Can I switch mine or? President, are you leaving?
Had a very long day at campus.
Lovely to see you. We're gonna take a selfie. Let's take a selfie. This is gonna do a selfie. Oh, you wanna? We can do it. Guys, you can turn my mic off.
You period leads.
Hey. There we go. No, always got to see the world. Tell me. Tell me.
Asinaluvalo ngalente siyenzayo. You got it. So I just keep going all the way and you guys keep going like that. Okay? I want you to sing like you're going to get that 350 grant. Okay? Need you to, you know, one last time. God knows what's going to happen next week this time. We got it. Okay, okay? All right, all right? Lente siyenzayo. Lente siyenzayo. Lente siyenzayo. Lente siyenzayo. Lente siyenzayo. Lente siyenzayo. Galente si ati valo valo tololo. Valo valo tololo. Lente siyenzayo. Up on your feet, come on guys. Ati lente siyenzayo. Lente siyenzayo. Lente siyenzayo. Ati lente siyenzayo. Lente siyenzayo. Lente siyenzayo. Ati valo valo tololo. Valo valo tololo. Lente siyenzayo. What? Ati valo valo tololo. Valo valo tololo. Ati lente siyenzayo. Come on. Ati lente siyenzayo. Lente siyenzayo. Lente siyenzayo. Yes. Ati lente siyenzayo. Lente siyenzayo. Lente siyenzayo. Galente si ati valo valo tololo. Valo valo tololo. Lente siyenzayo. Power to the period power. Power to the period power. Down with period poverty, down. Down with period poverty, down. Sure, guys, that was powerful. Y'all can give yourselves a round of applause. Sit down. Man, only in Parktown, where you'll find people dressed up for a lecture, singing struggle songs. Hey, only in South Africa. But I think it also breaks my heart in the same breath that we still sing these struggle songs and we still relate to them so much. They are more than just carriers and archives of memories. They still mean the same thing they meant so many years ago. And my hope and my wish is that 10 years from now, 20 years from now, 30 years from now, when there are other period poverty, you know, people that are fighting against period poverty, people that are trying to spread period positivity, that they will sing these songs remembering these moments, remembering your fight, remembering the policies that you wrote down, remembering the fact that the reason why I'm able to go into a public toilet and get an option of various period products is because of these very people that are sitting in this place who have made a decision that no more will girls be part of the 30% that miss school, that the 7 million of girls shall be brought down to zero. Can we do it overnight? Absolutely not. But can we do it every single day? We absolutely can.
1 I didn't sign up to be an independent candidate. Hey, who knows? You guys could have been my constituents. But welcome back, everybody. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed what you nibbled on. And of course, the conversations that you guys were having, those seemed to be very interesting. We are going to get into the second part of our program. And the time is not exactly on our side. But before we do so, there is an ebook giveaway. So there's an ebook giveaway to audience members, and this will be done in the form of Q&A. The Global Citizen Fellows, whom I do not see as I am darting my eyes. Oh, there they are, but I recognize us. I see you, I see you. They are going to give you the roving mic, and they are going to ask you questions. So we are only going to take 5 questions, yes? We're going to take 5 questions. There's an ebook. Scalwela, physical-ish, you know. Hey, yeah, South Africans are something else. Let's not fight for his physical book. I said e-book. Because load shedding might just be on the cards. Just make sure you charge your phone so you can read this book. The point of the matter is you would have won something, okay? So I'm going to call upon the Global Citizen Fellows. So they are going to do this during the second panel. So that is something that you can anticipate. If you won a Binny or a moon bag, as it's called, it's okay. This is another chance for you to win again. If you didn't win anything, you have an opportunity to win. Who named SMS at 31314 Batu? Maybe today might just be your lucky night, hey? Where you might win something. I don't even want to touch Betway because wow. Yeah. Wow. Let's get into our second panel. So this one is going to look at period products, sustainability and innovation in achieving menstrual justice. And this, of course, is going to be facilitated by the Minister of Menstruation. Now, Minister, understanding that it has passed a lot of people's bedtime, will definitely not waste any time. You know, ever since you had bottomless electricity, you've even gone back to your habits of sleeping normal hours. Get rid of that, okay? You might have to switch up because you might not even have power. You might not even have power, but vote. Tomorrow, just make sure that you vote. I will do the honors of introducing the panelists in this discussion. So, joining us is, you might have seen some underwear outside, hanging, a gorgeous underwear. Carolina, when am I going to vacation? Happy I was side-eyeing the Minister of Menstruation. You know, Qrate must make a plan because what is this? This is a sign that we must go on vacation. But we've got Mudibodi, a period underwear that will be joining this conversation. Shall we have a rap from there? Yes. She's holding them in her hand. She's holding them in her hand. They are so gorgeous. Ukara, there's no blood that's going on there. Love it, love it. And then we have got Mina cups, menstrual cups. Yes, Mina, you are up. Mina, you are up. There we go. There we go. Oh, there's a funny story about the next representative that's coming. So I assumed, and that was wrong of me, that the name of the brand was her name. And you know how kind ladies are in the bathroom, right? So we're just talking, and then I referred to her by the name of the brand. And she's like, actually, that's not my name. My name is Noctula. Give it up for Noctula from Salome range. And finally, Wild Hearts Foundation. Let's go, Wild Hearts. And so, Luana Okileka product, you just said, oh, there we go. Oh, there we go. Love it. And so the key focus of this discussion is, what does menstrual health look like beyond pads? It will reflect Wild Hearts. Don't be wild. What does menstrual health look like beyond pads? And of course, to reflect on the advancements made with period products, particularly reusables and natural supplements. To moderate this conversation, give it up for the Minister of Menstruation, Candace Chirwa.
No, of course, okay. Okay. I'm mic'd up. Thank you.
Testing.
Testing.
Testing. Testing. Look, guys, I'm here to prove load shedding, eh? Am I online? Yes. Wow. Oh, I'm very terrified about load shedding. I'm not going to lie, but it's fine. We shall move very quickly with panel 2. I'm really looking forward to this discussion because I think a lot of us are just aware of a few period products. Some of us know the disposable pads. Some of us know about tampons. But we don't know about the sustainable innovations that exist in our country, our land, South Africa. So I'm really looking forward to the conversation. Let me just introduce my lovely panel. We have Nokuthula Musibi from Salome Range. We have Mina Cups that is here. I have Zakira Mohammed on here, but I don't know if you are Zakira, but you'll formally introduce yourself. Then we have Tobiso Ndlovu from Wild Hearts Foundation. And then we have Charlene McQuinn. I always love just saying your name. Every time I think I go, Charlene McQuinn from Muddy Body, South Africa. So I'm going to ask the first opening question. We've had the sanitary belt. I don't know how many of you know what the sanitary belt looks like, but it was created in 1920. And now in 2024, we find various period products, the period underwear, the menstrual cup, the reusable pad, right? The menstrual disc. There's so much variety on the market, so this is the question to the panel. Do you believe that these alternative products are accessible to those that really need it? I don't know who wants to start with that heartburning topic. Nokuthula? Yeah. I think you should be on. Load shedding, Mike?
Change my to
Cool.
Hello. Okay, hi everyone. So to answer this question, I'd say yes and no. Yes, in the sense that there are innovative brands out there. I mean, you have some of us here sitting on this panel. But no, in the sense that it depends on internet use. So not everybody has access to the internet, number one. And a lot of ourselves and some of the brands that are here, we are in the digital space. So you won't be able to access us if you don't have access to the internet, number one. And then number two, I would say in terms of if you don't have access to your big retail, pharmaceutical or pharmacy groups, then you won't have access to those products because the big retail pharmacy groups are the ones that usually stock the new innovative brands. But it's not that we are not there, we are there. So it depends from a customer point, do they have accessibility or not? And that's how I'd answer.
Anyone else?
Definitely. So I'm going to answer from the perspective of someone that does physical community work. So I'm not going to look at necessarily technology or social media or access to those platforms, but as someone that physically is traveling around the country and is visiting schools in various areas, I would say it's a big no. And we see it in girls' faces when we pull out tampons. For example, in Willamore, beginning of last year, I think it was in February, and I'm running through the session and I pull out a tampon and all the girls just sat there like, what's that? They'd never seen a tampon in their lives. And I'm not talking about girls in grade 6, I'm talking about girls in matric, grade 10. So when they go to the store, there's no tampons, it's only pads. So that means even in terms of reach, even in terms of culture, in terms of influence, so you won't find it at the garage, you won't find it at the spa, you won't find it at your local doctor or pharmacy. You only have access to one product and one product only. So I'm going to say definitely no, because Willamore is not hidden in the Karoo somewhere. You know, it's on your way. It's a town in the middle of two towns. So that definitely speaks to access. So I would say no.
It's really fascinating. And we'll get into the taboo perceptions of the period products because I think when a girl sees the tampon for the first time or a menstrual cup for the first time or period underwear or reusable pad, there's a little bit of a shock, right? So what is your thoughts about accessibility?
I'd say with the reusable pad, there's certainly accessibility. However, we're very much limited in the sense that it begins and starts with acceptability.
Right.
In a school setting, right? As an example, in the context of our reusable pad, it's a very inferior product at the moment, in the sense that once you talk reusable versus disposable, it's like, what is that? A lot of the young girls have actually never seen what a reusable pad looks like. So we're trying our level best to get very much involved from an acceptability aspect, where we actually introduce the product to schoolgirls in a school setting. It's been very challenging, as you can imagine. Why so? Because it's become an inferior product, as I'd mentioned. I mean, it's unconventional. So generally, the young girl would prefer a disposable versus a reusable pad. And so in that respect, it's been challenging. But I would say our product is not on the shelf. So in that sense, we're very much limited. But there is, yes, an accessibility in the sense that I know that specific other brands within the reusable space certainly have it on the shelves. You can go pick it up at a Clicks or at a discount somewhere. So,
Charlene, accessibility with period underwear, what are your thoughts?
No, so I totally agree. Is this working?
Yeah.
I totally agree with both ways. I think I wish we could say, because our product is available to the top 10% of the population. So absolutely what you were pointing out, available digitally online to people that can and have the financial means. I think what is sad for us is that the price point is high. So while the product is sustainable and lasts for like a minimum of 2 years if you look after it. I mean, we had a client who bought theirs overseas and had their product for 7 years. I mean, so the life cycle of these products is, that's a lot of audio back needed, but so it's sustainable and will last, but the problem is that the entry point is expensive. So if you don't have a disposable income to be able to afford that first pair or those first 4 pairs or 5 pairs that you need to keep you going for as long as you need to. One of the comments from the previous panel was, do you eat, do you bleed? Like then that's an overriding, absolutely no. It is not accessible to those individuals, and I think I'm sure we're going to touch on many things, but one of the initiatives for Māori Body globally is to combat period poverty, and since 2020, Māori Body has been able to give over 201,000 pairs back to the communities worldwide. But this takes money. Funding.
Yeah. And so we speak about accessibility, we speak about the acceptability. So let's touch on about the various taboos that exist with our period products, including menstrual supplements, right? Because I think a lot of people always assume that if I take this will be bad for me. If I use this, it'll break my virginity. If I wash my reusable pad, the blood will be, used for bewitching or there's a lot of myths. So how do we address that? And I'll start with Nina Cups.
So our biggest focus is education when we go into any community. So whatever beliefs and taboos can actually be combated by education. Because if you are giving biological facts about how the body works, it doesn't matter what the beliefs are about the vagina and the loss of the virginity, and the hymen as well. Is the hymen there? Is it not there? When does it break? And if a hymen has been broken, does that mean you're not a virgin anymore? So by educating children about their bodies, so how does the vagina work? What does it look like? And what is its purpose? What does it do? Why is it there? So not really like trying to take the long stretch when you're doing the education and going into a sexual perspective, but saying the vagina bleeds, so it's for your period, it's for sex, and it's for giving birth to babies. What does it look like? And then just giving that basic information lets the girl know, okay, this is how it looks and this is what it's meant to do. And then when they start to ask other questions like the hymen, then you can better explain it because now they understand what the purpose of the vagina is. The purpose of the vagina is not only to have sex. It's not only for women to preserve their virginity. Because we see it even with how girls bath themselves because they don't want to touch their vaginas because it's a private part. But then that's taking away from their personal hygiene. You understand what I'm saying? So when you educate and you only give biological correct information, you're already winning. Because when they start asking and they get curious with those questions, they are more confident and saying, okay, cool, I can bath myself properly. I say to them, are you going to use soap on your armpit? They say, yes. I'm going to use soap in the vagina. They say, yeah, chisa. And then I said, exactly, because you're not supposed to put soap down there. So just by educating them correctly, you're already winning. And then I think another thing we need to break away from is marrying menstruation, the vagina, and sex together. Menstrual products are not sexual products. And we need to stop saying...
I need you to repeat that louder.
Menstrual products are not sexual products.
Amen.
You know, so sex and menstruation have been weirdly married together because even when I'm doing a menstrual health session, I get so many sex-related questions, and that's not what I'm there. And I'm not a fundi on sexual health. I'm a fundi on menstrual health. Yeah. So we need to separate the two definitely.
And taboos with reusable pads, period underwear, anything that's come up in terms of hesitation to use the product?
Okay, so I think in the context of the reusable pad, there needs to be a change of vocab in the sense that for the longest of time, people identify the reusable pad as a product for poor people versus as an alternative product, an alternative menstrual product. So I think in that respect, there really needs to be a change of vocab. I mean, we're also challenging our respective efforts together with other guys like yourselves, Qrate, where we've realized the importance of the education piece. Because for us, when we go out and say in a school setting and we do a handover of the pad, it's a mere handover of the pad. There's no impact in that, right? So I think we've looked at things that we can do internally amongst ourselves as a foundation, and we've also looked at how can we leverage from collaborating. And I think there's a lot of people in this space really where working together we can help strengthen the dialogue because it's broken at the moment. So again, we really, I think it's very important to have that education piece. I'll tell you, we've been involved with conversations with, say, Department of Women, Youth and People with Disabilities, where they do feasibility studies with like a UNFPA as an example. And they go in a school setting, and the feedback there is the teachers are actually holding back, you know? Oftentimes it's the teachers that actually dictate the use of product. And they drive that narrative that, oh, this is a product for poor people. Then the school kid is very hesitant on using the reusable versus the disposable pad. So yeah, again, I think just it is really us coming together with the educators, because somebody spoke of gatekeeping a little earlier. And I find that, especially because we deal a lot in the school setting, gatekeeping really comes from the educators.
Train the teacher.
Yeah, 100%. So yes, I think we acknowledge that, you know, we say in our respect, we're supporting a factory in Bombela where that actually manufactures the pad. So we can manufacture the pad, but giving that educational piece, it takes a shared concern. And great to guys like Qrate and all these guys here, right?
Yeah.
To help strengthen that dialogue.
Period.
Yeah.
And Charlene, any worries when you get like questions, because I know your website is so extensive with frequently asked questions about will this leak, will this, what do you say, like in terms of addressing those taboos?
No, so there's so many things that you've touched on now that are so firstly, our South African community is incredibly conservative. So our product is global, and the conversations that we have with all the various territories overseas, And what works for where the Australians and the UK and where they're sitting is completely different to what we can actually deliver in the South African market. So your piece on education, my gosh, we cannot educate enough, and it's actually exhausting because you continually and you think, oh no, I've already said it, no, I'm sure they've got it now. No, you've got to continually repeat over and over again and educate, and things that come up with period. So I think panties are a little bit easier in that, you know, it kind of looks like a normal pair of knickers, especially, you know, a black pair. It's got the you know, the dark gusset. I brought the products to show you. I love that. So, you know, if you look at this, it looks like a great, and Candice, I think it was a conversation with you a very long time ago where you were educating me on culturally how, you know, if the product's hung up on the line and you know, the neighbor can see that you're menstruating, it's like they don't want that. So, you know, hanging this up on your line just looks like a great pair of knickers. So, so yes, there's that whole education piece, but what you asked me the question around what we get questioned the most on, and it's things around, you know, doesn't it smell? It's so gross. And I think it's because that concept of you would use it and throw it away is what people are used to. And then now we're saying, well, actually, you don't throw it away. So then what do you do? And it's to educate people, well, you know, you rinse it out, go straight into the wash with your next, you know, bundle of washing, and you can hang it out to dry and reuse it. So that, and the smelling part is the fact that the product traps the blood away and keeps it away from your body. So you don't have that wet feeling, which again is a misperception. It's trapped deep into the garment, and again, when we were again talking about smells and stuff around menstrual, the menstrual cycle, that when the smell develops, it's when air gets to the blood. So menstrual blood is not dirty. Again, another misperception, right? So it's when the air gets to it, then a smell and bacteria can formulate. And so when you've got products that's you know, take care of that for you, it's a dream. So and then around the education piece, so we do a lot of school talks, and we had the most amazing talk at this one school, and the kids were excited and hyped, and we got so many questions and left the room. And what was really encouraging was that young girls were asking about clots and all these things that people don't want to talk about. And we were so hyped and left this thing, and then heard that the first thing a young teacher had said when she got back to classroom was, oh, how awkward was that session? And we were just thinking, like, here is your leader in education and saying that now and affecting, you know, 30 kids that are sitting in the class who actually thought it was a great conversation. So those are the things that we continually have to go up against.
We definitely have to invest in training the teacher, training the parent, and I guess that's our new task at Qrate and Mina Cups with our education pieces. You know, we need to include that in the new phase in the next 10 years of tackling and eradicating period poverty. So I want to throw this forward to Nokuthula because I think we are speaking a lot about the hygiene aspect, but with menstrual health, as an academic, I use the term menstrual health and hygiene because health is holistic. It includes the behavioral, it includes the physical, it includes the psychological, right? Period conditions, we can list them. PCOS, endometriosis, PMS, PMDD, right? Amenorrhea. I can't even remember the other ones, but that's where I'm going to go, right? What do you think needs to be done more in having conversations with younger generations in terms of normalizing the behavioral symptoms we go through? Because I think there's a weird thing that we've been seeing with our workshops where young girls in particular feel like they can control their mood swings or they can control their depressive episodes, not necessarily understanding that it is hormonal fluctuations. And it is okay if you want to take a day off. It is okay if you don't really want to socialize because you're going through a phase in your menstrual cycle, right? So do you think we need to step up the conversations we're having with younger generations from educating them about period conditions and validating their experiences? And how is Salome Range addressing that? Yeah. It's a mouthful, I'm sorry.
Yeah, okay. So if I can... Hello, okay. If I can just do something and just address the question that was answered, and then I'll also answer this one. So in addressing the taboos that we experience as a natural supplement brand, the panelists all spoke about education, right? But for us, it's a little bit different, or a step up, in that we need to educate healthcare practitioners, right? So you find that healthcare practitioners don't necessarily believe in natural supplements, and if your healthcare practitioner, your GP or your specialist doesn't believe in natural supplements, you are most likely not going to, right? So the education for us is on that front at the top first. And the other thing is that most people, and it shouldn't be this way, this is a belief of the brand and of mine as well, we rely a lot on your doctor to assist you, when at the end of the day, it is your body. Nobody knows your body better than you, you know, and that's the mentality that we should have. The other thing is that the taboos that we face around natural supplements is people ask, does it work? You know, does it have good efficacy? But what we're forgetting is a lot of the synthetic pharmaceuticals that you use to address your symptoms started from a natural point. They are all plant-based, you understand? And I also think because we're in Africa and in South Africa, the mindset around natural medication as a whole is very strange, you know, if you think about it. And then to answer your second question about how do we have conversations, or are we doing enough? I don't think we're doing enough to have the conversations about the different menstrual symptoms that women face. I think we could all as a collective do a better job at that. I mean, you're doing it and you guys are doing it as well, but I think we all have a personal responsibility, whether it's with your friends, with your sisters, with your mom, with your family. I think that's a good place to start. How does Salome address it? So what we try to do, particularly on our socials, is drive the conversation around our products. So for instance, with the Salome menstrual pain, we like to have the conversation of the fact that we believe, and I don't know why this isn't, you know, a big thing, that menstrual pain shouldn't be normalized. It's common, right? And it's a natural phenomenon, but the fact that most people just get shoved with paracetamol and all these, and then you must just go on with your day, doesn't make a lot of sense. And I think the previous panel said that we as a collective need to be louder, you know, about the things that concern us. So I think definitely we can have the conversations within our communities, and then also look towards brands that are driving the conversation, such as Salome.
Lovely. So last question before we throw it to the audience to ask. Remember, audience, you have the opportunity to win the co-founder of Global Citizens book. It's called Ideas to Impact. So feel free to ask any question to the panel. My question to you, all of you, is what does a period-friendly world look like to you? Noctula, I'll start with you. Load shedding?
Yeah, this. So a period-friendly world to me and to the Salome range brand would mean a world where we all have, and we mentioned access, you know, we spoke about a lot of things, you know, so I'm going to touch on that. So access to information, access to innovative products that work, but also the most important thing is that your products should not be harmful to your long-term health. Because if you think about it, the average woman, depending on how long you're going to live, is going to menstruate for about 40 to 50 years, you know. So a period positive world is one where whatever I am taking is good for me long term. Long term, it's got good efficacy, it works for me right now. And I also think that there's a missing conversation about your quality of life when you menstruate. You mentioned PMS, all these other things that affect the quality of your life. So a period-friendly world is good quality of life, products that work, they're going to work for me.
Next person.
I think a period-friendly world for me is definitely a world where little girls could just be little girls. You know, kids can be kids. I mean, we have beneficiaries as young as 10 years old that use the Mina cup. And the first thing their mom says is, my child is a child again. you know. She's so free of the responsibility of having to change her pad. She's free of the responsibility of being embarrassed by a leak. She can participate in sports. She can go swim. You know, she can just be a little girl again. And I think we forget that sometimes menstruation can be a traumatic experience, you know. And for me, if we can have more kids just be kids, I mean, imagine what those little girls will be in 10 years, 15 years' time. Yeah.
And that's on
Period.
Oh, wow.
Also, shout out to you for being the, you know, they made it sound putting men in menstruation.
Yeah. Jeez, Candace. Come on. Wow, I'm trying to like veer off from giving a very diplomatic answer, but a period-friendly world for me is where we're no longer having to advocate as much as we're trying to now for period poverty. A period-friendly world for me is when the average girl in a rural setting can afford a pad, whether disposable or reusable. So affordability, period-friendly world for me is where men are getting involved in the conversation. It's no longer unconventional for men like myself, young men, or young or old, to get involved in those conversations. And well, the period-friendly world for me is, yeah, I guess I think in the South African context or in the African context, and more especially, honestly, affordability is something of importance to me because I understand how the average person cannot afford a pad, whether disposable or reusable, which is why, you know, organizations like Wild Hearts exist, right, and all these guys that are in the panel. So, yeah, in a nutshell, that's really it for me. I hope I...
Yes, and that's on
Period.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think, yeah, it's definitely addressing that 30% of young girls that are not making it to school. I mean, that is just, yeah, it's heartbreaking for all involved. And I just, it's the affordability, which is a big thing. But I feel that we do still have such a long way to go. I think it's also around, so, and I'm not saying this as a, you know, gender thing, but it's around women supporting women. You know, we all in this, and some have it harder than others. And I think that we all, instead of trying to sort of pretend you don't menstruate, like we need, I just feel like that there needs to be bigger, there's been a lot of talk about men and their involvement, and absolutely, but there's still a lot of work that women need to do in supporting each other. And I think the reason products like these are coming to the forefront is because we've got this whole gender equality space coming through, and women are now designing products that are beneficial to us, and so we're now embarking on this space where we just have so many incredible things available to all of us. But I feel those 30%, but it's the women backing women. We've got to carry on and really drive this and like prepare for this next generation.
And that's on
Period.
Alrighty, we're gonna open up to the audience, right? I note that there are a few people, so if you mind just standing up so we can see you, I'm going to give one of the GC fellows a mic, right? So Tibi Tabang, whoever wants to Tibi Tabang, I feel like that's a Tabang. You know, you can just get the microphone here. Do you guys just want to quickly introduce yourselves, what Global Citizens about, hashtag change the flow. And then we'll open up the floor. Yes, yes.
Hello, everyone. Oh, I'm shy, but I will talk. Okay, my name is Tibi Tiba, and I'm with Taba Mahakwe, Taketo Chokwe, Nala Selepe, and Asema Ziligazi. We are the fellows cohort 2023 to 2024. Right? Yeah! Okay. We recently did a campaign on menstruation. Hashtag change the flow. Hashtag change the flow is a pun phrase that refers to transformative change and demystifying stigmas around menstrual hygiene management. We are from Global Citizen Organization, which is the world-leading international advocacy organization established in 2008 on a mission to end extreme poverty right now. So yeah, guys, thank you so much. It's really nice to be here. So Taban.
Thank you so much. Just to add on what my fellow colleagues said. So what we're working on is to find ways as like as young people in South Africa, how do we normalize conversations around menstrual hygiene management? So it is important for me, for you, for everyone here to every day to take part in menstrual hygiene management. Thank you so much. And now it's time for the questions.
Yes. All right. So who has questions? We see a hand over there, a hand over here. Anyone else? A hand over there. And then anyone else? Anyone else have questions? I can't see. Oh, we have one there. Anyone else have questions? And there, those are our top 5. So you feel free to go to whoever first. I think we should start. Let's start here.
Okay. This side, can I see what this? Oh.
Hi everyone. Sorry, I'm sitting on the floor, so you might not see me. Thank you so much to this current panel and the panel that we had before. I really gained quite a lot of insight. My question isn't about something you guys spoke to directly, but falls within the sexual and reproductive health conversation, which is more regarding menopause and understanding that there's a lot of women around me as I am aging and the women in my family are aging that are struggling with menopause, and I realize they can't have conversations about menopause because when they had the conversation about their period, I mean, that was already whack. So they weren't going to speak about menopause then. And I'm thinking about myself as an aging woman now. What can I be doing to take care of my body, to destigmatize, so that when I do have that experience, which is also so varied and crazy depending on, you know, your personal health and other things that you're dealing with. Like, Salome, I know you guys do, you know, these natural supplements. Like, are there things that you are like providing for people who are currently going through menopause? So I'm kind of just missing that part of the menstrual journey, which is like almost the end of it, which is menopause. What happens to the body then, and how do you deal with it? Yeah.
All right, so we got menopause as a question. Let's go to question number 2 out of 3, 4, 5.
5. Okay.
Yeah, it's too long day. So question number 2.
Okay, so if I may, I'd like to start by sharing 2 experiences I had, particularly around menstrual health conditions. Number 1, I mean, I remember I must have been about 5 at the time. We were sitting around and having family dinner, and my sister made some sort of sarcastic remark, and the response she got from my parents was, "Oh my gosh, are you PMSing?" And I think that's something we don't really talk about, is the sort of use of these serious health conditions as an attack on women, as being hormonal, as being unpredictable, you know, and the typical patriarchal trope that like women were always hysterical, etc. So how do we go about combating that? And then question number 2 is, I've done, since I was about 14, 15, I've done a lot of questioning about religion. I myself am Jewish, and one of the big questions I have about Judaism, and one of the problems I have with it, is that there is this concept in Judaism that your period is impure, quote unquote, and you should not have sexual intercourse during that time, and you're supposed to go purify yourself afterwards. And what role does religion play in all of these taboos, and how do we combat that when it's, I mean, entrenched in culture and religion and heritage?
Okay. And mind you, Jacob, you're in matric, right?
Yeah.
Okay, the future's bright. All right. I'm happy to share that. All right, so question 1, menopause. Question 2, patriarchy, period, myths and taboos, and religion. Okay, question 3 out of 5.
Hi, everyone. So my question.
Yeah.
Okay, So my question is relating to disability. So how do your products cater to individuals living with disabilities? For example, if they are visually impaired, how do you ensure that they understand the products that they are seeing, and I mean the products that you are providing, and also how do you educate them and how do you cater to their disability? And also, if maybe they are wheelchair bound, are the period products comfortable for them to sit for long hours? And also for the information on the product, that can it cater to visually impaired in terms of like braille writing and those sort of things? Yeah.
So, question 3, inclusivity and disabilities for people who menstruate. All right, question 4 out of 5.
Can I see friends?
Yes, there we go.
Evening, everyone.
Evening.
Yes, kiss. My first question is a question but a comment at the same time. When the panelists were explaining the reusable menstrual things, it reminded me of the talks I had with my grandmother when I was 10, that they used to use indwang, which is the pads and the panties that you guys are promoting. And it's such a taboo for me to hear that people are saying that is for poor people or they don't know about it, because our great-grandparents and our grandparents, they used to use what you are promoting right now. So that's a comment on that. And I think also us as parents, we should continue the tradition to be open to our kids. Yes, it's not an easy topic, but if as parents, as peers, we have such conversations, I can come home with confidence and pure knowledge to share with my children. And then my second question is from my daughter. She's just a bit shy, but I'll ask on behalf of her. So the second question is about the swimsuits that you guys have. She was quite interested in the swimsuit, so she just wants to understand, because the flow keeps going, whether you're swimming, you're playing hockey, or whatever you're doing. How does the product contain the blood while you're in the water? Because the water is in liquid form, and as you swim, we believe that it just goes through everywhere. Yeah.
All right. So question 4, education with products, in particular swimming and our periods. That's an exciting one. I tried the swimming costume in December last year, and I was so happy. Life-changing. And then question 5 out of 5.
Hi guys.
Hello.
So my question is more based on, I had an experience of, in 2022, I froze. I woke up and I froze, and I was pale, very pale, and I got to the doctor and I was told that I have endometriosis.
Endometriosis.
Yes, the other one. So my question is, since you guys are based on advocacy and stuff, I believe this is an issue that should be educated to young people, because if you all know now, what's trending on TikTok, it's young people are coming out to say, I'm suffering, I don't know who to talk to. Public hospitals are not helping. And so my question is to you, how are you going to now put this issue into this advocacy that you guys doing to say, let's educate young people and women, because we all facing this issue. So my question is based on, what are you guys doing about it now that there is no help, there is no one speaking for these young women out there? So yeah.
Okay. So question 5 is endometriosis. So let's work in reverse. Endometriosis, Noktula, would you like to address that question? Oh, Mike. Okay. I don't think I see John. Okay. Choose this one.
Okay, so
Hello?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's me. Okay,
Okay, so with regards to endometriosis, from a perspective of the Salome range, it's a bit difficult to comment on that one because we don't have products that cater for endometriosis. It is something that we're looking to do in the future, you know, conditions like endometriosis and fibroids, but at the moment it's not necessarily within our scope, so it would be difficult for us as a brand to advocate for what we don't cater to, especially because our main point is to cater to, you know, symptoms and disease areas.
Okay, then, yeah, do you want to go on endometriosis?
Oh, actually, you could continue.
No?
Okay,
Yeah,
yeah, endometriosis. So I think for me as an educator, I think about like health symptoms. I think we can do a lot more education maybe on health symptoms because I've met a lot of girls in university that only found out after the age of like 21 or 23, 25 that they've actually been living with a menstrual health condition for a very long time. So as much as I cannot give a diagnosis, like I cannot give a list of stuff, there are health indicators that we can give to girls from the age of 12. For example, if your blood clot is bigger than a 5 Rand coin, that is a health indicator. That means something is wrong. So we can give those tools to girls to say there might be a problem there. Because one of the issues is that we've both on our period and we've both experiencing period pains. And I asked you, out of 10, what is your pain? You're going to say 6, and I'm going to say 6, but there's no scale. Yeah, your 6 is different to mine because of our pain tolerance. So health indicators, I think we can do a lot more education on that.
Yeah.
Subjective, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing with period pain. Like you can't, it's subjective, and that's why with period pain experiences with men, right? Because you understand that these things are real. So I think it's a very important conversation, and we do challenge Salome. You know, we give you a year. We want you back here by May 2025.
With a solution.
Like to say, here's our new product on endometriosis. I want a full report back as the minister.
Yeah.
All right. Point number 4. Swimming on your period. Is it possible? Can it be done? I think she's got
Absolutely, absolutely, it can be done, and I think that's something that we fell in love with what this whole brand has to offer, is because nobody should miss out on anything when they have their period.
Right.
So you asked around the technology around the swim costume. So this is an example of one of the teens racerbacks. And this gusset that comes in here is different to the gusset that you would find in a normal pair of underwear. And the reason that is because exactly you're dealing with 2 different forms of liquid, and the quality of the swimming costumes is superior, and it is highly water resistant, so it blocks the water out. The gusset will absorb your menstrual cycle, and the big thing around what people don't fully realize is when you are in water, the gravity stops your flow. So, so that whole concept of a shark's going to attack at any moment, you know, it's real, right? Everyone thinks that, but it's, and also the amount that you are menstruating. I mean, we go back to the educational piece right in the beginning. So on your full cycle, on average, you only menstruate 18 mils of liquid, of menstrual blood. So, so the gusset is ideal to absorb whatever is when you are you're out and you are now getting into the pool. You swim and you carry on as per normal, and then you'd hop out, and it would then obviously absorb what it needs to absorb from the time that you're outside the pool. Obviously, on a very heavy day, you would be more conscious around being quite quick to go and change after. But on a lighter day, you could literally continue on and not be concerned about it at all. And you certainly won't be attacked by any sharks. Oh, and you won't also dive in and have a pool of blood, because a lot of kids think that this is going to happen. So yeah, it doesn't happen. It traps it away, keeps the water from the blood and the blood from the water.
Right. Point number 3, we're going to divert stability, my apologies, and inclusivity with period products. This is putting Body, Wild Hearts Foundation, and Mina Cup on accountability. I love this. So what are you guys doing to address that?
Yeah, 100%. And I think it was a very important question she asked. As you were asking the question, I was reminded of a conversation we had with the Cancer Association of South Africa. not necessarily around disability, but they were asking around what are we doing for patients with cervical cancer. And I say it's a great question because I didn't know how to respond. We hadn't met that conversation prior. Yeah, so I think it's very important that even as a foundation, we look into how we cater for, say, people with disabilities. Our pad, I know our pad has the same absorption capacity as a conventional pad. It does differ in sizes, so it can accommodate, say, a persons with disabilities or a persons without disabilities, right? But yes, great question that you ask. And I think on our side, there's a lot of learning that needs to happen around the space, so we can maybe come back next time and unpack inside. So thank you for that question.
Yeah. Another one.
Yeah, 100%.
So our product is obviously inserted inside the vagina. So for anyone with disabilities, especially if you're sitting in a wheelchair, it wouldn't be different from an able-bodied person sitting down. And because our product is long wear, you can wear it for up to 12 hours. That also puts a lot of ease on the person with disabilities. So we did a children, not a children's home, but a disability home in Cape Town, and some of the girls that are disabled are on menstrual cups because it's so much easier for their caregivers after they've taken a bath to help them put in their menstrual cup. They literally can wear it from 6 a.m. in the morning to about 5 to 6 p.m. in the evening, and the caretaker can carry on with their other duties and not have to worry about having to change a period product every 3 or 4 hours. And then the last thing is we also even have disability-friendly positions on how to insert the cup. So if we are sitting in a hall like this and we are giving menstrual health education, no person is left out. Each and every person will know exactly how they can use the MENA cup, even if you're sitting in a wheelchair or you are amputated and you have only one limb, as well as overweight or obese ladies. Because if you think about a lady that's really overweight and obese, her breasts and her stomach is in the way. So she can't see her vagina anymore. So she wants to try another product, but she can't because she can't reach her stomach. So we literally have a position where you lie on your side and your stomach falls to the side and you're able to insert your vagina, your cup into your vagina from that position. So we've already kind of sorted that problem.
Okay.
Yes, so we have a pair that's clips. It's got clips on either side to help wheelchair-bound individuals. And also, interestingly, is if you are in a job that requires like a quick changeover. So firstly, if you've got the right absorbency on, you should be able to wear one pair the whole day, and then only change it out as you go into the night, because they come in different absorbency ranges. But if you're on the run and you, let's say a doctor, and you don't want to take off all your scrubs and whatnot, you can then use that the clip option and then just re-clip on the next pair. They've got two clips on either side. And then also what we found is there's been a lot of rave reviews around, we've got customers that are, their kids are autistic, and they find that, it really is just putting on another pair of knickers. And that has helped them because they've got such tactile difficulty with the stick-on of the conventional pads. So that's really created a lot of anxiety for those youngsters with autism. So the normal pairs have done well there as well.
Okay, question number 2. We're dealing with patriarchy and religion. So this doesn't have to be a brand-focused question. This can be a noctula response, or anyone else would like to respond. It's not, you don't all have to go through it, but if anyone feels brave enough to respond to that answer, how do we address patriarchy in our period? How do we address dealing with religion in our period?
Okay, so it's so nice that you asked this because we had this discussion in our live last week when Candace was explaining her experience in a religious space and the role of her period and that whole system. So I think, this would be a nocturnal opinion. Let me put it this way. So I think... So I think there's a lot of work that we could do with yourself. Candace, because Candace spoke about, you know, what Qrate does in different bodies, in different religious spaces. So I think it starts there, like partnering with advocacy groups that are already on the ground, that already go into religious spaces. I mean, Candace spoke about her work with traditional workers, her work with Christian leaders, Catholic leaders, and the like. So I think how we address it is through the avenue that you already have, you know, the platform that you already have, and with the work that you're doing to show that along with the education, there's actually solutions, you know, for the various challenges that women might be experiencing. So I think we use avenues that are already there.
Yeah, and I'd love to respond to that. I think I myself I come from a Roman Catholic background. So there's a specific chapter called Leviticus that speaks about being impure and entering the temple. Very similar to Judaism, but it doesn't necessarily stipulate how we should purify ourselves. Because I know in certain cases you have to take a shower or put a white cloth over to indicate to your spouse that you're clean now, right? But I think how it extended within my high school setting is that we learned about this in religious studies, and they said don't go to church, but every Friday we're expected to go to church. So in my head I was like, so who's checking? You know, is there like a detector at the door? So that was my rebellious act to say, I'm going to go to church on my period because I know God is a forgiving God. He loves everyone. So he going to forgive me for being on my period because I can't control it. It's okay. But I think it's important, like Notula says, in having advocacy, education with religious leaders, having that element of not only training the parent, training the teacher, but training the religious leader as well. So that there's an element of focus and conversation about what does a period look like. In the book, Flow, the book about menstruation, we actually interviewed different religious leaders, and one of them was a rabbi. And the rabbi said, you know, we actually inform our congregation to take a rest, because a period means rest, right? Literally. And we don't want to force people to come to church, but if they would like to, they can. And that's a much more positive approach to it, right? Regarding patriarchy, we could be here the whole night. But I think it's a matter of this weird thing, and maybe Tabiso you can agree or disagree, men seem to listen to each other. Yes, absolutely. Right? And so I think we need more positive men like you, Jacob, like you, Tabiso, like you, Duma, to advocate, to talk openly about periods, to actually say we need to be better partners to those when we're dating people who menstruate. We need to be better fathers. We need to be better work colleagues, because I think that responsibility isn't just on us women and girls and people who menstruate to end period poverty. It also includes men and boys. So yeah, that is my response to question 2. Anyone wants to respond to question 1? Menopause? Okay.
Sorry, can I quickly just add one more thing that's come? I also think that we, all of us, need to be braver, because I'm just thinking around, so there was an article that Australia put out that was around having sex on your period, and like kind of, you know, the sheets, and it was quite a nicely put way, but myself, we got massive resistance in South Africa. And I think it's also around us being a bit braver and like actually going, well, you know, and I go back to that conservative piece. Yeah. We need to be able to push it a bit further as well, and continually do so to start to help various religious spaces as well.
I agree. I'm just sharing this as like an interesting point, but we went into, I think it was about 4 years ago, just before COVID, Nina went into KZN where they still do virginity testing, and we did a menstrual health education, and those women that do the testing accepted the cup. Love that. You know? So they advocated for the cup in their communities because they understand that it's a period product and it will not interfere. They didn't tell us what they're looking for and they're looking in there, but what they did do was say it does not cause damage to the vagina. So I think it's very different if Fubi that's coming from Egoli is coming into that community and is saying, use this product, it's great. And it's different coming from a community leader from Ukoko, the one that I know and I love and I trust and has my best interest at heart, and is saying, you can use this product, it's safe for you. Agreed. Yeah. Agreed. So anyone want to address the final question, menopause? I'm not the minister of menopause yet.
Yes.
No,
Okay, so I love the topic of menopause or the condition menopause because my mom she's menopausal, so she's going through menopause currently. And I love what you said about the fact that the elderly women in your life, they don't talk to one another or they don't know who to talk to. And that was my experience with my mom. So what I would encourage you as a first place to start is to hold her hand, because that's really what she needs. She is going through mood changes. She is going through so physiological and as well as psychological changes. And you know how our moms and aunts have always held our hands when we were little? This time you must hold theirs. And the reason why is because they have reached a certain stage in their reproductive sphere, right? Where they've ended a certain part where they are no longer menstruating, or the menstrual cycle is almost tapering off, you know. And that comes with a whole host of things. You know, it was quite sad to watch my mom experience that, right? So what I'd say to you is hold their hands. How do you hold your mom or your aunt's hand? Give them access to information. Because I don't know if the women in your life are like the women in my life, but they're not tech savvy. So they don't know how to get information about what they're experiencing, number one. They don't know how to discover new brands, number two, or alternative brands. A lot of women go to their gynae and they're placed on hormonal replacement therapy, which might not be the solution for everybody because that's got a lot of risks associated with it. And then you asked a question about yourself. What should you do? Because you're also, you know, living and you will reach menopause at some stage. So I'd say, as much as you are equipping yourself to help the women in your life, equip yourself also for the future. So the information is going to do the same thing for you. But I'd say stay abreast of the information because the science changes all the time, you know. So what you might know now versus when you need it in the next maybe 20 to 30 years might be different. And if you look at the conversation on social media, there's lots of talk from not so much the local brands, but the international brands. There's lots of podcasts, there's lots of people that you can follow, doctors who speak about menopause and what elderly women are actually experiencing. So that would be point number one. And then how do we address it as a brand? We have a product here called Salome Impose, and in it, it has 2 herbal plants, black cohosh and St. John's wort, which are traditional herbal supplements that have been used for years. And what that does is it addresses 2 things, the psychological as well as the physical, so the vaginal dryness, the hot flashes, the mood swings, the irritation. So when you need it, or when the women in your life need it, we are here. Salome Impose can assist.
And that's on
Yes.
I would like to thank our lovely panelists. Please do not go anywhere. We have a token of appreciation for your time. But I'd also like to thank everyone here. I'm going to hand it back to the lovely group. Are you online? Very much on. I'm going to hand it back to Flu, and then we will, yeah.
You can go back. Oh, okay.
Let's give it up one more time for our panel. That was quite insightful. Thank you so much. And I think what really stood out for me was period products are not sexual products. Yeah. Very important to remember. Can you guys hear me, or are you just listening to my natural voice? Carry on.
I don't think so.
Okay, we're going to try and keep things all on so I can't hear.
Can I help you? I think somebody more qualified is going to help you.
Yeah.
Are we good? There we go. Awesome stuff. But you guys heard me most. Yeah, hi. Come on, come on. But we are moving closer and closer to the end of our lecture. It has been quite an informative lecture, yeah? Yeah, I am really proud of the fact that you guys stayed for so long. Those ebooks are definitely going to come your way. They'll be getting them. Is it via email? Via email. That's at home. But on a serious note, we are going to have a video actually
a video courtesy of Viva Con Agua before we close things off. How the gifts it is here, Banna. These gifts are gorgeous. I don't even know what's inside. I hope it's nothing from Tim. I saw pink boxes and yeah, Minister, please. I hope you did justice. But as they are getting their tokens of appreciation, we are going to get ready to watch that video from Viva Con Agua.
I love it.
And then after that, we will officially close our lecture. Minister, are we ready with the video?
The video is offline.
Okay, it's offline. All right. While the video is offline, I'll just ask that we all stand on our feet so we can do the period pledge. Okay, okay. All right. Okay. All right. Okay. You guys have been such a fantastic crowd, hey? I love it for you. Okay, so I'll ask that you put your left, your right hand on your heart. And then you repeat after me. I pledge.
I pledge
to talk openly.
To talk openly
about periods.
About periods.
So no one is embarrassed.
So no one is embarrassed.
To talk openly about them.
Talk openly about them.
Let's say that again. I pledge.
I pledge
to talk openly.
To talk openly
about periods.
About periods.
So no one feels embarrassed.
So no one feels embarrassed.
To talk openly about them.
To talk openly about them.
One last time. I pledge.
I pledge
to talk openly.
To talk openly
about periods.
About periods.
So no one is embarrassed.
So no one is embarrassed.
To talk openly about them.
To talk openly about them.
Give yourselves a round of applause. And then you will do this thing that we do at Qrate where you close your eyes, you take a deep breath in, and as you exhale, you will say vagina. Breathe in and
vagina.
Breathe in and
vagina.
In and
vagina.
Yes, well done to you. A round of applause once again. And that is a wrap, everyone. Thank you so much for attending Flow for 2024. I'm going to cry.
It's beautiful, right?
I really appreciate each and every one of you. We do have a serious matter. Our operations director's phone was stolen.
Oh my.
So unfortunately, Old Mutual Security takes these things very seriously. Each and every one of you are going to go under the scanner. So please, when you're leaving the store, he's going to scan you. I just also want to make sure you each received your bracelet, your menstrual health. Okay, great. Okay, if you have not, please make sure you go to that box over there where that green bottle is and just put your a bracelet for in solidarity for menstrual health day. Just a bracelet, my friends.
Yeah, you can keep one of them.
Nothing more, just a bracelet.
Thank you so much, everyone. You may now exit and you shall be scanned. Thank you.
Thank you very
Nice
much.
one. Oh.
Oh, thank you so much.
Where?
Oh, okay.
Sorry
I thought
for
you were
you.
facilitating that. Are you gonna?
Oh, the lights are bright.